Good evening, everyone. So, I am Jeanine, and I'm going to be talking about the abundance of opportunities in outdoor recreation, rhetorical strategies, wins, and failures in marketing to underrepresented students in higher education. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, looking through the lens and the institution that I'm currently a student as, Northern Arizona University occupies a unique position to foster diverse student engagement with outdoor spaces. However, our current outdoor marketing strategies and narratives in higher education reveal challenges that prevent us from addressing the experiences and needs of underrepresented students, particularly our students of color. NAU's location in Flagstaff is very unique, making it a prime hub for outdoor activities, considering that it is in the mountains and surrounded by our lovely nature. Yet, outdoor marketing strategies fail to adequately address the experience and needs of underrepresented students and the opportunities that are presented where they may reside at, as an example, Northern Arizona University, NAU. This gap is significant because research highlights that the benefits of outdoor recreation in fostering academic success, personal growth, and a sense of belonging for college students. Dominant narratives in outdoor marketing often perpetuate a white, affluent image, excluding marginalized groups and narratives and failing to encourage retention within campus recreation programs. As Bentley observes, outdoor programs have traditionally catered to the white, middle to upper socioeconomic class, creating environments that are often unwelcoming to our students of color. In alignment with the CCCC's theme of writing abundance, this paper and this presentation, I hope to deliver some methods for more inclusive marketing approaches at NAU and other institutions just for some inspiration. By looking at different platforms, demographics, and rhetorical choices, hoping to see how we can influence how our students perceive outdoor accessibility and recreation, and also how can we support them in all of these options and opportunities that they may have, fostering a sense of belonging among our students, which is often at the root of a lot of discussions when we're trying to get our students to stay and we're looking at retention beyond just one program, but the entire institution. I'll be using rhetorical concepts such as Kenneth Burke's identification, consubstantiality, and deterministic screens. This study and this paper, this presentation, will be examining how language and imagery can reinforce exclusivity or foster belonging. Let's dive right in for these strategies for higher education institutions in outdoor marketing. So first off, frameworks, rhetorical theories, and outdoor recreation. Kenneth Burke's rhetorical theories provide a robust framework for analyzing marketing in higher education within outdoor recreation. Identification, consubstantiality, and deterministic screens truly illuminate how language can be utilized and imagery is used to shape perceptions of inclusivity and belonging in outdoor spaces. So, identification, so the concept of identification applied to this lens of higher ed, and looking at values and goals of any particular institution can explain how institutions can align that with their target audience, so their students, to foster a sense of belonging. This involves creating marketing materials that can resonate with cultural and personal experiences of underrepresented students. As Granholm argues, university recreation departments should connect students' personal values with their programming. This is particularly important because representation of diverse identities in outdoor settings is super important, so that way students can feel connected, and that's part of that identity piece. With this being noted, marketing campaigns must reflect the unique backgrounds and values of its diverse student population to foster identification and belonging. So it can't just look at one type of student, it should look at all of them. So if you have a student who has never ever gone outside before, maybe they're from the city and now they're getting introduced into Flagstaff, Arizona, this might be new to them. The idea of trails, the idea of What does it look like to snowboard, to ski? How do I do this respectfully in these spaces that we occupy, considering our Indigenous students? Um, Another example featuring testimonials from our Latine or Indigenous students about their experiences with outdoor programs, maybe NAU's outdoor programs, could serve as a very powerful rhetorical strategy looking at identification. And these stories can truly bridge cultural gaps, maybe something that you didn't understand coming into a space that you've never been in before. Just as a personal example, I'm from the LA area, and in my experience growing up, we didn't really have any indigenous focused curriculum. However, it seems that in Arizona there seems to be, depending on where you occupy, um, very extensive focused education in that, which I missed out on. So there's a lot of learning on my end, having being in Flagstaff. So consubstantiality, or the creation of common ground, further emphasized the need for shared experiences in outdoor spaces. So higher ed has the opportunity and the potential to frame outdoor activities as an experience that can transcend cultural differences. Research by Richmond and Sibthorpe underscores this idea, showing that, quote, outdoor adventure education programs build leadership, teamwork, and a sense of belonging by fostering shared experiences amongst diverse participants. Institutions can create a sense of consubstantiality, so looking at this kind of common ground between the institution and underrepresented students by employing marketing strategies that highlight these shared values, that could help reframe outdoor space as an inclusive and accessible for all students. So what does that even look like? What conversations are we having? Um, Terministic screens next. Burke's concept of terministic screens. So these are the filters that people would interpret language through. Truly adds depth to this analysis, and I was really purposeful adding terministic screens because they're shaped by culture, social, and personal experiences, which would be influencing how our students perceive outdoor recreation. An article, The Nature Gap Report, notes exclusionary language in outdoor marketing perpetuates stereotypes, suggesting that outdoor spaces are not intended for marginalized communities. So, really putting up the messaging there like, oh, me as a person of color does not belong in this space. I do not belong here. This is something that we don't do. When that couldn't be further from the truth, but how can we challenge that narrative and change it? So, inclusive terministic screens would highlight community oriented outdoor activities or culturally significant relationships with like land. And this is particularly very important for our indigenous communities and also looking at indigenous traditions, such as that at Northern Arizona University, which resides on the lands of indigenous people. Next up, so the benefits of outdoor recreation and also looking at the barriers to participation. So, outdoor rec offers numerous benefits for our students, particularly in fostering academic success, social integration, and personal growth. According to Frank and Gustafson from Carter's work, individuals who participate in recreation often improve their self worth, which positively impacts academic performance and social lives. So, outdoor rec and outdoor activities in general boost self confidence, can boost self esteem, and help students navigate the challenges of higher education, maybe letting off a little bit of steam there. Additionally, Carter notes that social bonds formed during recreational activities help integrate students within the social systems of the institution, which fosters a sense of belonging in itself. So, for underrepresented students, these benefits are particularly critical because they are often faced with systematic barriers, and to feel included on predominantly white campuses, that could be a really challenging thing to overcome. So, for these social barriers to participation, um, despite these many benefits of campus rec, many underrepresented students encounter significant barriers to participating in outdoor rec. So, Bentley points out that outdoor adventure programs have historically catered to white, middle to upper socioeconomic class, creating an exclusionary environment and narrative for our present day communities. This exclusion is further compounded by a lack of cultural sensitivity, which Bentley describes as a major barrier to participation in outdoor programs. So if you don't know where you're at, if you don't know who you're serving, you're going to come up with loads of barriers when you're trying to connect with individuals. This historical exclusion of people of color from outdoor recreation also contributes to these barriers. So historically speaking, many people have been left out of these conversations and out of spaces until just very recently. Gonsalves highlights how, quote, people of color were rarely considered to be major stakeholders in outdoor recreation, end quote, reinforcing perceptions of outdoor spaces as just white dominated. This legacy of exclusion underscores the need for higher education in places like NAU to adopt marketing strategies that actively challenge these narratives and promote inclusivity. So, wins and failures in NAU's marketing strategies and in higher education in general. Within higher education, there has been progress in creating more inclusive outdoor marketing strategies, but significant gaps still remain. So, here are some wins. Efforts to highlight diverse student experiences in marketing materials has shown lots of promise, and it helps to foster identification and inclusivity. So, as an example, showcasing events that celebrate cultural diversity or featuring testimonials from first-gen college students can really help these underrepresented students see themselves reflected in outdoor programs. So if you have someone like me, I'm Mexican American, saying like, I go hiking, and my first time hiking was in Flagstaff, Arizona, that might have an impact on someone who maybe resonates with my identities. This is particularly impactful because when individuals can connect to other participants, like I just gave you an example for, through multimedia platforms like maybe Instagram, and they could visually see this participation, and maybe that might be a little bit of a buy-in for them. These strategies align with Burke's concept of identification, creating a shared identity between the institution and its students. As Granholm observes, inclusivity in recreation programming boosts, quote, student engagement and retention, demonstrating the importance of these efforts to show that we are one, bridging that gap. So there are some failures though. Despite these successes, campus rec marketing still falls short in fully addressing the needs of underrepresented students. Deterministic screens and marketing materials often frame outdoor spaces as maybe unwelcoming or culturally irrelevant to our students. For instance, images that predominantly feature just white participants reinforce the perception that outdoor recreation is exclusive to certain groups. Lee, as cited in Gonsalves, observes that, quote, images in outdoor marketing often tend to be dominated by white people, which perpetuates barriers to participation of students of color. Moreover, the language used in marketing materials frequently fails to resonate with the cultural values of underrepresented students. So, what actually is relevant to our students now? What words should we be using? For example, Latinx students may have cultural relationships with nature rooted in the community, doing things together, familial ties, and tradition, which are often overlooked in mainstream outdoor narratives. As Williams argues, diversity-focused outdoor programs must challenge stereotypes and create narratives that are inclusive of all cultural perspectives. Apologies. So, bridging the opportunity gap, the role of outdoor recreation programs. How do we get to that point? So, outdoor recreation programs have the potential to bridge opportunity gaps for our underrepresented students by providing access to these experiences that truly foster leadership, teamwork, and cultural belonging. That's from Pilgreen. So Sipthorpe, Richmond, they demonstrated in their work that outdoor education programs can, quote, create opportunities for underrepresented students to develop teamwork, leadership skills, and cultural bonding, end quote. This can truly serve as a model to better address the unique needs of our students' population within campus rec programs. And lastly, our diversity-focused programs could truly help in they are particularly effective in reshaping student perceptions of outdoor spaces. So if you have these opportunities, Williams' research highlights that these programs can challenge stereotypes and foster a more inclusive outdoor culture, creating environments where students of color feel safe and empowered, which are two important things to note because if you are taking someone out on a trip, you should be empowering them. Overcoming early barriers, transitioning from high school to college, it's also super important to acknowledge those things. In conclusion, NEU's position as a Hispanic serving institution presents a unique opportunity to foster inclusivity in outdoor rec. However, its current marketing strategies fall a little short in addressing the experiences and needs of underrepresented students. Through intentional language, diverse imagery, and culturally relevant program, higher education institutions such as NAU can create outdoor spaces that are truly accessible to all. As Bentley notes, telling the stories of how people of color helped make the outdoors great is essential for creating these inclusive narratives. By embracing these strategies, we can not only promote outdoor rec as a space for growth and connection, but also align with the broader goals of equity and diversity in higher ed. That's it. Thank you for listening.